This program is going to demonstrate the use of flags, nesting, and the dangling else problem. So we're going to start and look at flags. And a flag is an integer variable which we are using as a Boolean or true and false variable. So often we use them to ensure that we've got the one entry point and one exit point for a structured construct. So here we've got a while construct, and it says while I is less than 10 and keep going equals 1. Now keep going means we want to keep going through the loop, and I set it to be 1 initially, so it'll enter the loop. It says enter up to 10 numbers, 0 to stop. It does a scanf to read a number. It adds it onto the sum. It says keep going equals n is not 0 and the sum is less than 1,000. So we're going to kick out if our sum ever exceeds 1,000 and if they ever enter a 0. So as soon as they enter a 0 and that n not equals 0 becomes false, we AND it with that. That whole thing becomes false. Keep going becomes false. We come up there and keep going is no longer 1, and we exit from the loop. And there's only one way out of a loop, and it's when it does this test up here. And that is the property we want to have. So these flags are used as true and false values, and we can set their value inside the loop, either setting them to be 0 or 1, or by setting them to the result of an expression like this. We looked at loops nested within loops before. Now we're going to see a slight variation where I take and put an if inside a while loop. It works exactly the same. Every time through this loop, it's going to execute that if and do what it's going to do, it's going to add up the positive values. So if n is greater than 0, it says sum equals sum plus equals n. Else if sum is less than or equal to 0, it adds on minus n, that's the unary minus, which is equivalent to multiplying by minus 1, which makes it a positive number, and it adds it on. So it only adds on positive numbers. So that's the idea of using an if inside a while. And notice we indent them as usual to make them easier to read. Now the dangling else is really a formatting problem more than anything else. But here we have if n is greater than 100, if I equals 10, print I is big, else print n is less than 100. Now the way it's indented, it looks like that else goes with this if. So the if on line 43 looks like it belongs with the else on 46. But that's not really true. In reality, that else actually goes with the if on line 44. And the way we can tell is the else always goes with the immediately preceding if, unless there's curly brackets or curly braces breaking it up in some manner. But normally we associate the else with the immediately preceding if. So this is a dangling else, and it's difficult to figure out what it goes through. Try and avoid writing your code that has incorrect indentation. Make it so that it's easy to read and easy to figure out what's going on. So that's a little bit about flags, nesting, and the dangling F problem.